Right, so welcome everyone to Lockdown Live from Fixendale. So I'm Robert Fuller, a wildlife artist, and I know many of you have been following what I've been doing during lockdown and showing you all different things, whether it's the wildlife outside, the painting that I'm doing inside, or rehab work that we do. So there's lots of different things, but I've brought all my little collection out today to show you, so I'm going to talk you through that. I'm just waiting for everyone to join us. I don't know what it's like where you are in the world, but it's very cold and gloomy here today, so it's a good day to be inside. We're outside tomorrow and over the weekend doing some wiring work for the next project on Tawny House and Little House. But I'm going to make a start now. I think we're running live across to you all, and this is going to be a really special day for me because I haven't seen all of this stuff for a while. It's been tucked away in drawers and things. So I've been collecting things for years and years since I was a little boy. And this is some of my collections of skulls, feathers. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of feathers to the clothes moth. They came in and destroyed. I had old suitcases full of collections of feathers and wings. And some of my feathers have survived there. Some of the ones I actually just had out in the open. Some that I've had since I was a teenager. I found this golden eagle feather, and you can see how big it is, give you a sense of scale. This is a buzzard feather, which is the same sort of size as a red-tailed hawk, and I've got a Canada goose feather. So these are birds you're more familiar with. Canada goose, buzzard, same size as a red-tailed hawk, and just shows you how big this golden eagle primary feather is. And again, gave you a glimpse of these the other day, but I can't resist showing you again. So this is a white-tailed seagull feather, and again from the similar part of the wing, I'll show you them off to the side so you can see them. Similar part of the wing, this is a Canada goose feather. So it just gives you a sense of scale of how enormous these birds. You know, I'm 6'2", and these feathers are as long as my forearm and hand. And this is just not a primary feather. If I'm a bird, it's my back here on the wing, and the primary feathers are even much larger on the eagle. And then quickly I'm going to show you these others I found as a teenager again. These are golden eagle feathers, and to give you a sense of scale, again, this is a red-tailed hawk tail feather, and these are golden eagle feathers, and just extraordinary finds when you're out on the hill and you just come across these. You know, very special to me, those feathers. So I'm going to start by talking about some kingfishers, and well, I'll show you how I started becoming an artist first as well, because I started collecting all these things and then I started actually drawing them. So this is a heron skull, and this is a drawing I did when I was 13 years old, and I've got the heron skull here. So this is something I would just do on the evening. So this is the actual skull that I drew when I was 13 years old, a grey heron skull. And yeah, that's sort of how I started. I would collect all things to do with nature. You know, when I find these things, these are fox skulls. So I've got loads of fox skulls now. That's the actual skull. This one here that I drew, that I kept found as a young boy and then cleaned up. I'll spend ages cleaning them and super gluing the teeth back in. But all these skulls have stories behind them. We've got another fox skull here, and I'll show you closely maybe later on, but this is actually, if I pass it to Willie, he'll show you. This is full of teeth mark, and this will be done by a larger rodent, the back of the skull, along the back, the top edge at the back, well, over the, yeah, that's it, point up in the air. I don't know if anyone can see that, but there's loads of teeth mark in there, and that's done by a large rodent. So they're trying to get a little bit of calcium back from bones. So in Africa I've seen giraffes chewing on bones to get calcium, and in this country we get tooth marks on antlers, and these are just animals trying to get a little bit of those nutrients back. So even as a skull they still have a story to tell. Yeah, and what happened to them. I can see road traffic accident animals here, badgers, all different things. So we're going to move on to something very tiny, so tiny I've I've misplaced where it is. The best thing is to show you a photograph of it, but I love studying kingfishers, and they're beautiful little kingfishers, stunning little birds. And this is one just about to throw a pellet. And this is something I've witnessed many a time, and quite often this pellet comes out of the mouth. And I filmed it as well. I couldn't find the footage today, but I've got some stunning footage of them throwing pellets as well. And this pellet comes out, and quite often I see, really disappointingly, that this pellet just drops into the water and I plop into the water. But this one landed on a leaf, and I've collected several kingfisher pellets over the years, and got home and they just crumble because it's just fish bones and fish scales. It's nothing sticky to stick it together like fur. So I did get one day, and I brought it home on the leaf, and then I just popped a little drop of varnish on it, and I don't know if Will can show you that close up. And it's just stunning little thing. It's tiny, you can see by how big it is to the hands there. So I just popped a little bit of varnish on it and stuck it on the leaf and sealed it all together. But that's a kingfisher pellet, European kingfisher. So these pellets also have a really fascinating story behind them, which we'll show you. These pellets are not just a waste material. So when I first started studying kingfishers in a nest, the female kingfisher actually lined the nest with pellets before she actually even laid any eggs. So she was using this as a bed for the eggs to keep them off the damp ground, and the chicks. This is then used to absorb all of the muck and mess in that nest. They can't poo outside because they're nearly a metre into the bank. So these pellets have a use, and this is the female kingfisher. The male kingfisher, this is in complete darkness. The male kingfisher is just about to pellet, and she grabs hold of his beak, encouraging him to pellet, calling it to him. And as this pellet comes out, he drops it on the floor. And as he drops it on the floor, this is in complete darkness, she then starts breaking this pellet up frantically to spread it out, to keep those chicks safe from all of the droppings in the nest. So these pellets often actually have a use, which is interesting. Owls line the nest boxes with pellets and then make a scrape for the eggs. So a similar process. So these pellets actually have, a lot of use, and a lot of use after they've been pelleted, because they go on to provide food for the clothes moth. A little fancy Latin name which I'm not going to go into and don't know at the moment. So so the clothes moth eats then all of the natural fibres within the pellets, and it's something I'm desperate to film one day, because this whole process is fascinating. The larvae process of that moth then provides food for the little birds over the winter when they turn into chrysalises against the edge of the nest. So there's all sorts of stories behind these, but we're going to, after the kingfishers, I think I'm just going to show you a little bit of hare footage, because I've got a lovely hare skull here as well. And that's a stunning skull. These often, hares, rabbits, rats, those sort of skulls just break apart when they starts to break down. All of those plates fall apart. So I found this hare skull and actually stuck it all back together with super glue, because typically some of these rodents, it's very hard to get a complete skull like that. So I'm very proud of that one. But they're one of my favourite animals to study here on the Yorkshire Wolds. Quite mythical creatures. And the other things that we've been watching a lot of this year are the tawny owls and the barn owls, and I've got one of each. Well, I've got lots of skulls here. I've got lots of tawny owls. One here, another one there. So, but this is one of the most complete ones with this one. But I talked about the eyes before. Owls have some of the biggest eyes for their skull size, and that's why they're bobbing the head around so much, because they can't actually move their eyes in the socket. There isn't enough space in there to control the eye, so it's just a big eye, or two big eyes in the skull, and this takes up nearly a third of this skull, the eyes alone. It's quite an incredible thing. But I've got a tawny owl skull here, I'll just show you this amazing head bobbing they do first, and I'll get Will to show you a barn owl skull compared to a tawny owl skull. And the tawny owl is much rounder, bulkier animal. It's a heavyweight compared to a barn owl. So we've got the tawny owl there, and we've got the barn owl here, which is much smaller. Do you want them both, Will? And you can see how much narrower the barn owl is, a much narrower skull and longer, and the tawny owl's really broad skull with absolutely huge eyes. And the eyes are, you know, to help with night vision. They've got very specialised eyes, but what they don't then have is the ability to move those eyes, so they move the head instead. But these are, yeah, quite precious, and it's good for me to get all this stuff out today. And then moving on next to one of our favourites, the weasels. Along here I've got lots of mustelid skulls. I've got otters, badgers, mink, stoats. Somewhere there'll be some others. There's a weasel somewhere, which I need to find. Yeah, my little weasel skulls up here, which are stunning little things. So yeah, so which one are we going to cover? The weasel, I think, first. Yeah. So they always say a weasel will fit through a wedding ring. I have a wedding ring here, if it'll come off. There we go. So this is, I think it's 19mm, this ring. And I'll just sort of show you what's sort of possible. They say if a weasel can fit its head through somewhere, its body will follow, and the head's the widest part of the weasel. And it's not actually quite factually correct. The shoulders are actually 1 millimetre or 2 wider, but I just quite clearly show you that this weasel skull simply slips through the wedding ring. So that's 19mm, and I've had a live weasel actually get through 22mm, a female, without too much difficulty. So it is true that a weasel can go through a wedding ring. I'll just demonstrate that again here. So you need an extra few millimetres. There isn't much, you know, there's the skin and the fur obviously on there, but you can see there's loads of space. So these weasels are absolutely tiny. The males are much bigger, much heavier, and that simply wouldn't go through a wedding ring. They get through a hole of about 30mm in comparison to these guys, little female weasels. 22mm they can fit through when they're alive, and I've tried and tested that. So yeah, quite extraordinary things, and that's so they can hunt mice. They follow mice down holes. You know, they're the smallest predator in the world, and they love hunting mice and voles. So we'll show you a little bit of footage of the special little weasels in a minute. And these are something I started studying. This is 2015, 5 years ago. I started this crazy obsession with stoats and weasels that took over my life for quite a few years, studying these secretive little mammals. Absolutely stunning little things. So she was a really, really special little weasel. So she had 7 kits in the garden. She actually, this you can see her now next to a wood mouse. This wood mouse weighs about 35 grams and she weighs 65 grams. So it gives you an idea. She's only literally twice the size of a mouse, or even less than twice the size of a mouse. So that's how small a female weasel is. Yeah, quite an astonishing little thing. So yeah, so we're going to move on to either foxes or badgers. What we're going to do next, Will?
Your choice.
Let's hit the fox. Let's show them a beautiful fox. This is a very tricky subject to film out in the wild. You know, I study urban foxes and love, but this is some of my favourite footage of this family of foxes out in the wild. And of all the skulls I've got here, I've got so many fox skulls, lots of different ones, but obviously the most complete one is the one I showed you earlier with the drawing. It's you know, stunning skull, typical carnivore, lots of really nice big teeth on there. And this is my best example. It's got nearly all its own teeth in there, which is great, but it's a absolutely stunning skull. Yeah. I like the old fox, but I just look, I don't know why, I just love collecting parts of nature whenever I can, if I see something. And yeah, so we're going to have a look at something else next. We're going to probably look at badgers next, I think. And again here, there's lots of badgers skulls amongst this collection, but these are them in the wild. This is at the same place as the foxes, just plain roly-poly, and this is some of my favourite footage. And I didn't know whether at that moment I was taking photographs, and I thought, well, I'll take a little bit of video, it's getting a bit dark. And I am so pleased I did, and this is before I even had a video head on my camera, so I'm literally bracing myself trying to capture this shot on a long lens with no video head. So I was absolutely delighted when I managed to actually capture that really, really beautiful moment with the badger there. So yeah, so we're going to, are we about there? We'll just take questions, but I've got all sorts of things here. I've got these beautiful little nests. So we've got goldfinch nests. I only ever collect these in, like at this time of year when they're all finished with. But stunning little goldfinch nests. They're absolute works of art, these little nests. This one actually just blew out of the tree and it was on the floor. So I don't generally collect, you know, nests in particular, but it was just on the floor and I was walking past it and I just couldn't resist picking it up. It's a beautiful little thing. But there's so many different things here, lots of different birds, birds of prey, oyster catchers. Just trying to see some of my favourites. There's so many different favourites here. You know, razorbills. And I can almost remember where I find most of them. Some of them is gulls, geese. Yeah, so many different things. And then I've got the other collection here. I've got pellets, I've got droppings, I've got scats, stoat, weasel, barn owl pellets. Yeah, so it goes on, but this is an eagle pellet, a white-tailed eagle pellet, and I can see this has been eating gulls, this eagle. And when I look into the pellet, I can actually see the wing bones of the, so we've got the wing bones here of the gull, and then if you look really closely, you can actually even see what the gull has been eating, that the eagle's then eaten the gull. There's actually some crab bones in here somewhere. Yeah, so if you look there on the dish, there's actually crab bones falling out at the bottom, crab shell. So the gull's eaten a crab, the eagle's eaten the gull, and it's all coming back out as the pellets. This is all the stuff the eagle can't digest. I mean, some of this I wouldn't want to swallow, half broken bones and things. Quite extraordinary. And there's some deer fur in there as well, and when you get deer fur, it just snaps really easily, whereas other mammal fur doesn't generally tend to snap, so there's also some deer fur in that pellet. And I think next we're going to take some questions from wherever you are. We've got a few questions coming in. Will is going to fire them at me and I'm going to answer them.
So Janet Taylor asks if you have any tips on making skulls not smell.
Not smell, yes. Let nature do it is the simple thing. So I get a plant pot, sometimes put a bit of mesh on the bottom of a plant pot and put a bit of mesh on top as well to stop anything pinching your skull. But I've got a cormorant skull here. This was found this summer, and this was just in a still all a bit dirty. So this was found on the coast here, and literally nature has nearly done everything, and all I do now is take all that away, and all the fluff and fur. This doesn't smell. A little bit of spare skin, and it all just pulls off. And give it a sniff test. No, it doesn't smell of anything nasty. It smells a bit of dead leaves and things, not of a thing. But the other way you can clean this up, top tip. I just don't tell my wife too often. I actually put these in the dishwasher. But some people use like diluted bleach and things. Bleach can eat away a little bit at your skull. But if anyone else has got any other tips, I like the dishwasher myself, but then I've got to be careful I don't lose any teeth if it's a mammal skull. That usually works, the dishwasher.
So Pam Alexander asks, how fast are stoats and what is their top speed?
Oh, stoats are proper fast, but the top speed will be around about 20 miles an hour, certainly a lot faster than me, but they look so fast because they're quite a small animal. So yeah, they're a quick little mammal, really. Yeah.
So, Cold Springs Queen, who is one of our moderators, asks, are your daughters taking on the same passion for these animals and art? And do you take them out to film and photograph?
Yeah, I've taken my daughters literally all around the world from when they're actually babies. So they've been, to so many different places. They've been to the Great Barrier Reef with me. They've been to the rainforest in South America. They've been to the Galapagos. They've snorkeled with sharks. They've been to Africa, New Zealand, Australia. So yeah, they're definitely, and they're arty as well. So it's nice that they've got the interest in wildlife, and especially Ruby. She's like dog mad and animal mad. So yeah, they don't have a choice, do they? We've got it all around us.
Lucy X asks, are all of your skulls from the UK, or have you collected from other places?
Yeah, so when we're collecting skulls, we've got to be obviously careful of the legalities of bringing stuff back to the UK. So virtually everything here is from the UK. So yeah, I see some stunning things overseas. I actually have a cast of a lion skull, and it's an aluminium cast of a lion skull, which I should have brought up. I'll show you that another day. It's absolutely stunning thing, but it's a cast of a lion skull rather than a real thing, because I see them out in Africa and I see them in these other places, but no, you cannot take them. They actually tried confiscating the aluminium cast of the lion skull in the airport, and I'm like, no, it's metal and it cost me lots of money. So the skulls I've got here are all virtually all UK skulls, I think. Yeah, looking at them, yeah, all UK. So these are animals that have died, road collisions, and a lot of the seabirds are just found beachcombing and things. So yeah, I don't go and shoot something and collect its skull. I've got gannet here, which is a lovely skull. It's just found beachcombing.
So Bad Nurse 5443 asks, can you tell us what kind of sheep that is?
This sheep here, so this is a domestic sheep, and I think this one, I'm trying to remember whether it's I think this one's a blackface, Scottish blackface sheep, this one. So and this is just a pig, this one, and a pony here. So there's lots of different types.
Kiritsi asks, what bird is the skull with the black tip on the beak? And I believe...
Down here, yeah. So this is there's two with a black tip. That's a razorbill. So that's a small seabird, medium-sized seabird that nests at the cliffs here on the Yorkshire coast. Quite a common bird across the world. So that's a lovely skull. I had a puffin skull as well, but I've misplaced that now, with all the colours on it, which was nice.
Stuart Petch asks, what kind of tree the goldfinch nest blew out of, do you know?
No, I can't remember. Goldfinches tend to nest in really precarious places. We've got several nests just in the garden that I've spotted, and they're often in small trees or tall shrubs. But I think it was something like a rowan tree, something with not a lot of cover, and it just literally will have blown out of the nest of the tree.
So that's all of the questions about the skulls. We have one final question, which is from Oliver Woodcock, who asks, can you tell us what is the plan with Drax? Is she being released later today? If we see the weather forecast, I think we're going to let her out today and hope. They gave us a really bad forecast today, and it's pretty miserable and cold out there, but we haven't had the rain that was forecast. We've had a bit of rain. So I'll check the forecast after this and let you know, but she's probably going to be let out tonight, because if you watched the live last night, she doesn't want to be inside anymore, but what I want is her not just to go out into this countryside without the support from us, and that's always a risk. So I think she's probably going to go out tonight. We've got just two more questions actually.
Yeah.
One of them is from Suzanne Lawrence, who asks, what is the large skull on your left?
This one? That's a pig, this one. So this is one, I think my dad gave me this one. A relative gave me this one as well. yeah, my dad's mum's family gave me this one. So the rest I've sort of collected myself. I haven't really collected any domestic stock ones, but these ones are, you know, they're particularly stunning examples.
And one final question comes from Martin Walton, and it's, do you have an otter skull?
Of course I have. Got everything here, yeah. So the otter skull's here, and quite often these are road accident otters and their skulls are too badly damaged, but this is a perfect example, this one. And it can put a weasel skull against it if you want, Will, just to give them a sense of scale. Yeah, so these are all mustelids. We've got the little wee weasel as the smallest, and the biggest one I've got is the badger as part of the mustelid family. And these skulls are quite interesting. They've all got a story to tell in a way. This is a boar, male, large badger, small, young female badger, and you can tell by the crests here on the back of the skull, the ridge line of these crests, and that's where all the muscles attach to. So the bite force of the badger is pretty extreme. If you show them the crest on that one, well, it's huge crest on the back. So all the muscles are attached to this crest, which come round to the jawbone and give a pretty effective bite force. So that's typical of some of the large mustelids, that they have this crest on the back of the skull.
That's great.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I'll just double check. I think that's it for now.
Right.
So we'll take some more on Monday, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll see you all on Monday, and thanks for watching. We'll bring you something good. What we're going to do Monday? Painting, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to talk through a painting that I've just finished recently, a large painting of a puffin, large painting of a puffin that I did. So these are puffins that live on the coast near here, and this was a painting done during lockdown, and I just got some big brushes out one day and did this fabulous picture of a puffin, started that, yeah. So I'll be showing you that on Monday. See you then.